This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Taylor Janszen from Janszen Media. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's our pleasure. So, could you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, anything that you think is relevant for your professional career and kind of how you got to this point in your life?
Sure. My name's Taylor. I'm the owner and CEO of Janszen Media. We're a full service website design and digital company, specializing in website development and content marketing. So we offer search engine optimization services, pay-per-click advertising for Google, Facebook. We have a team of about 6, and we are all over the world. So we have developers in India, Bangladesh, Philippines, and designers and specialists as well. So we've been doing this about 8 years, and it's awesome working with a lot of different industries and clients and getting to really get into deep dive of their business.
Beautiful. So, what made you interested in doing marketing in the first place? I love to hear the whole story about how people get involved, because I feel like marketing is one of those industries that you don't, it's not always linear, the path that people take to get to it.
Yeah. So growing up, I always said I am a creative, so I love doing design or doing artwork. And I like graphic design in high school, so I actually put a portfolio together and went to Miami of Ohio for graphic design, and they had a very competitive program. Went all the way down to I think they only let in about 30 kids into the program a year, so it's pretty
Wow.
and I was, top 35 or 40 or so. And they said, "Oh, well, we can try again next year." And I said, "I'm gonna just try to graduate and get a job and go from there." So
That sucks.
graduated and then got a job at a digital marketing agency where I learned a lot of the tools of the trade, learned about SEO, had no idea what it even stood for, and all the experience with building websites and hosting and servers and all of that. Um, when I got that experience, then I went to a larger company called American Freight Furniture Mattress, which now I heard a few weeks ago they just went bankrupt, which is interesting. But I've been out of working there for about 5 years, but it is a larger company, helped grow it from 130 stores to over 300 stores. And then there's $1 billion acquisition at that point. So I managed all the digital marketing team, the designers, the specialists, as well as building the omni-channel and the whole website with the team. So I kind of got that big corporate world experience. During the 3 years I worked there, I had my digital marketing agency as a part-time. So I was building up client base and building up my team members and all of that. And now we've been since about 5, 6 years full time. So that's kind of the whole story of getting into the agency where I learned everything and got the experience.
Well, that's a really fun journey. Not really funny. I mean, like the bankruptcy thing kind of sucks. I mean, you weren't a part of it at that time, but what's cool about that is you could tell people that they went bankrupt because you left.
Yeah.
And that's you were such a crucial part of it and their success that you just maybe fabricate that a little bit so people think you're that much cooler. but that is really cool, and it's nice to. I definitely see a lot of people who get this experience in different things along the way into creating a marketing agency where um it's really helpful to um get all different kinds of experience rather than some kind of streamlined way of going through things, maybe like a marketing degree or um I think that having worked in a large company was probably super helpful in your journey.
Agree. Yeah, working in a larger company, kind of had that single focus on a single client, so you could really dive in, have a lot of ideas that are for one specific client in a way. So you can kind of get granular with the marketing, so that those experiences with that, when now we work with, tens of plus companies, 20, 30, 50 companies at a time, that we're able to use all that experience as well as our team members' experience to build out campaigns, come up with the ideas, automate things like that.
Do you still get to be a part of the creative side of things, or you kind of just managing things at this point?
A little of both. Kind of transitioning even more out the day-to-day task. We recently hired out a designer that's helping us do mock-ups for like website homepages, or any type of website features. Whereas traditionally I would do a lot of that design, and every once in a while I like doing it. Right now I'm in the review process of that stage. Um, but I mainly manage a lot of the projects, but I also have the skills of I'm not as skilled as some of my developers, but knowing some of the code and knowing where to investigate things and problem solving with ideas. So I'm kind of transitioning out of some of the day-to-day tasks more into the more operations management, vision planning, and team growth.
Do you think you like that better, or do you kind of miss doing the design aspects of things?
I say the good news is if I really miss it, I can always do some of the work. Which
Yeah, I guess that's true. You have the option.
Yeah, but, I like running a business. I like the numbers. I like building a team. I like, hearing about my teammates' challenges and helping them solve it or asking them how they think they could solve it. So really being a strong leader, has been fun.
Okay. Well, that's really nice to hear because I think that I sometimes designers will start something like this and then get so involved in the aspects of things that they kind of miss the design aspect of things. So it's nice that you're able to one decide whether you want to be involved in the design aspect of things, but also that you like your new role.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. So then on the marketing side of things, are there parts of that you enjoy more than others?
I like seeing results. I'm a very numbers driven person. So building out reports or setting up a paid advertising campaign that's driving leads, driving sales, phone calls for businesses, is very important. And I think it's really cool when, for example, we spin up a Google Ads campaign for a pool company, and they tell me, "Hey Taylor, this is the biggest job we've ever sold. It was like a $400,000 profit job." I
Mhm.
said, "Well, you paid for my services for multiple years." And so it's really cool to see those results turn into actions, and dollars in clients' businesses, as well as we have a pest control company that we've been working with them now for 3 years, and every year they've been growing, and they've been hitting all their target numbers, and they're going to break $1 million this year, and it's really cool seeing the successes of our clients.
That is really nice. So I would assume then that your least favorite part is when the results are not what you're expecting.
It's frustrations, absolutely. So if we're doing a paid ad campaign and we know they're spending one, two, three, $5,000 a month, and we're generating leads, but not as many, or they're not
Mhm.
as quality. uh, there's a lot of wasted dollars on bad clicks. And then they're also paying us, and it feels like it's not turning into a return. That's when either I have the hard conversations talking with the client saying, "Hey, this is not working out as much as we'd like to, we should probably switch into a different strategy that we've seen success with your industry. So
Mhm.
we do like talking to our clients to truly help them and not just to get a paycheck or to offer them services or build them a website if they don't need it. We do want to try and do right by all of our clients.
I definitely appreciate that approach. Is there ever times where a client kind of suggests a strategy that you kind of feel in the beginning might not be the best way for them to go about things?
Yeah, so we've done sometimes people hear SEO and it's more of a trigger word where they know they should be doing it or they're like, oh, people are on Google. And sometimes it's more difficult for a new company to build a website and then start from scratch with SEO, just because of all the ranking factors of either domain age or the amount of content that needs to be on the site. Um, and sometimes the cost value is not there initially. If you have the funds and you want to start building a foundational company and you know it's going to be long term, it's absolutely crucial. But for some companies, that would be an example that will say, we usually don't recommend, you know, doing our level 2 or 3 package for SEO when, it's not going to be as much value at the beginning for them.
Mhm. Okay, that's really like I think that's very sound advice because I don't think that a lot of people are thinking about that. I think that it's definitely something that, yeah, I definitely agree that SEO is a buzzword in this kind of space. Is a lot of people maybe if they have the money or they think that it's crucial for them to put towards the money um for the best that they can get for it, it might not be what they need at that time.
Yeah.
So, okay, for building an effective website for traffic as well as sales, do you think that there's a crucial part of it that kind of stands above the rest for when you think it'll be more successful, like
Yeah.
across the board?
Yeah. So when building a website, what we look at mainly is user experience, number one, and branding. We do like building beautiful sites that we get compliments all the time from our clients that say, "Hey, our friend or a client called us or a customer said they love our website." That's always a cool testimony. So the branding and the design of the site. But in turn, you're building a website ultimately to build your business and to get sales and to make more money, ideally. So content with SEO is very important. Explaining what you do, so sometimes people say, "Oh, we do it all," but it's not very clear on what that is, as well as
Mhm.
the right keywords on the page to make it make sense for their business. So rather than just spamming a bunch of keywords that you think are going to get you to rank, you want it to make sense because ultimately people are going to come to the website and you want them to, um, you know, get a very clear understanding of what you're offering.
Mhm. Do you think that, and I know that this is troublesome because I think that a lot of people want to say both, but if you had to choose, do you think that um that clear representation of content or a creative and innovative website design is more crucial in a business's traffic success?
So we recently did some like LinkedIn automation strategies for our business to try and target certain businesses. And I've talked to a handful of business owners, which is really neat, that have sold 10 million, 50 million, $100 million businesses. So I'm curious what they know about it. And some of the things they've even told me, which I can at least recognize and understand, is they say a lot of times, a good website and branding is important, but it doesn't matter as much as the traffic and advertising and getting your name out there and the
Mhm.
impressions that are getting people to the site. Because sometimes you'll look at some of the largest companies, you're like, wow, they have a terrible website. How are they even functioning? And
I
everybody
see that
laughs all the time. And truth about it is they have sales teams, they have infrastructure in their business that is causing them to grow, that their website is more of a basic information site. They don't need, all these bells and whistles and creative videos and this and that if it doesn't relate to their business. And it's more about they're spending millions and millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars in advertising that are getting their name out there. And that's what's really growing their.
Mhm.
So then changing the color from this or that or updating, a page to add 6 more images.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether, like, what I personally believe is best. I definitely, because I see a really beautiful website, and I need to talk to it, and I want to learn more, and I think the learning more is great for especially that landing page that you have. But at the same time, if I don't understand clearly what a business is providing, then I'm not going to do much more to figure it out. Um, I'm not gonna place a call if I can't understand it immediately. And I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing um that you can have a slew of grammatical errors on your website and somehow your services are still clear. But that design aspect, even if it's wonderful, is not going to help make anything clearer unless I don't know, there's really detailed pictures that are somehow describing that.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's also, I mean, the clarity is the number one, and then getting people to it. And then the user
Mm.
experience, however, is very important. And even the large companies, if you come to them and say, "Hey, I'm on your website and your menu doesn't work," or "I'm clicking this link and it goes to a broken page," and that's your ad is driving people to a broken page. If there's clear things like that that are not functioning, uh, at least the executives and the people of these large companies do recognize that that is a very important fix that is crucial for business operations.
Yeah, of course. If something that is like is important in the process of getting a sale that's broken, you're kind of screwed.
Yes.
And that should be something that should be prioritized, whether it's a big business or a small business. That's kind of there's no going around that if they can't get through the process or they're aggravated by it. Depending on the industry, there might be a very large group that would be aggravated by it based off of age or something else. And that is, yeah, that can really bite a business. That needs to be something that's prioritized for sure. So moving outside of the website specifically, for marketing as a whole, what do you think that some people are maybe missing from their marketing approach or that you think you might be doing differently than other people?
Um, so I guess a couple things, and I'd give you a client examples. We had one client that was large, $8 million company, and very similarly, they did not have a beautiful website, or it was at least functional, but there's a lot of enhancements that they could do. Um, we rebuilt their website. We set up a lot of marketing strategies, like retargeting was a very big one. They were getting hundreds of thousands of visits, and they were not capturing that audience, as well as their CRM lead flow and their automations and their triggers off of certain objectives that they have. In addition to we've funneled a lot of their traffic down through a single request pricing form, which sounds very simple but before they just had to contact us. Whereas their
Mhm.
site very driven around get pricing, get marketing, and it wasn't as clear. So we built them a landing page, built a redesign, did some marketing initiatives, did some consulting on their Google Ads and optimized that, and was really coming up with a lot of creative ideas. And we did business consulting for them. And in one year, they went from 8 to 14 million. The next year, they were at 20 million, and now they're sitting around 20, 25 plus million, growing. So
Wow.
and and the way I explain it as well is digital marketing is a lot of mm, like it enhances a current business. So if the business is bad, you can't really enhance a bad business as strongly as like this company is very innovative and they always are coming up with ideas. New products are coming out and they have a lot of content that their users like. So expanding on that. And our job is almost too easy to advertise and get it out there for people. We just recommend certain dollars. We say, hey, you're only spending $1,000 a month. You're $8 million company. We should be spending, at least 10 grand a month. And something like that is going to skyrocket their sales. They were never doing any SEO before. So they were ranking pretty well for some keywords, but to improve that authority, improve their rankings across all of their, you know, 25 years of business history, is able to expand and grow. So the big thing to answer your question of what some companies are missing are, I guess, some crucial digital marketing tactics that mm, seem simple, but have a very clear return on investment, like a retargeting campaign.
Mhm.
If a large business is getting a lot of traffic and they're not retargeting those users, when someone visits your website and they drop off, if you're never marketing them again, that's lost opportunity. Especially in the furniture industry, we did some heavy studies where, from the first touch point, to it's about 7 days, you want to hit them about 7 to 10 times in different forms of marketing. So
Oh,
be a mix between traditional and digital. So you you see a Facebook ad, and then you get a piece of mail in the mail, and then you see a TV ad, and then you see them again on Instagram, and then you go on YouTube, and there's a retargeted campaign, and then they go to Google looking for that product, and we pop up as well, or we pop up organically. So those multiple touch points is what really drives a business, because a lot of times anyone in sales knows, like, the very first touch point, you can get some sales, but if you continually follow up with people, that's where your sales are gonna and your conversion rate's gonna skyrocket.
I find touch points rather funny because I've had these conversations before with other marketers, but for me personally, the more that someone touches base with me, the less likely I to use their product or service. And maybe it's because of my lack of, or maybe it's because I'm annoyed easily or something like that. But I always think about this because the more that the more that a product or a service is in my face, the less likely that I want to use it because I'm like angry. Mhm. And I always think about that type of customer.
Or is it that the messaging does not relate to you as closely? So maybe they're continually hitting you because they either picked the wrong audience or they don't know how to market to you specifically, and their message is not relating to your problem. You're like, I don't have a problem with this. Like, why you keep advertising me, a skateboard, on a skateboard, and it's annoying because it's the wrong message, right? Um, that's what I would say with that. But I'm with you. The other thing say that, like, Google ads, like, well, why would I advertise on Google? Like, I never click on the ads. I see ad or sponsored and I skip it. And then you look at the actual data, and most, like, clicks and sales, and the way Google operates is through advertising. And the way
Mhm.
they set it up is very, very intentional.
Yeah, I think a lot of people at this point in time, because ads are so prevalent, I think they don't realize that something's an ad sometimes. Because the something that I just discovered, which I feel like should have been obvious to me, in the marketing space, but was not, is the entire carousel at the top when you look up a product on Google is an advertisement. Everything that is on there is an ad. Um, and yeah, when you're looking at it, you're just assuming, oh, this is like the top searched products, and that's why they're up there, but that's not true. And it's just like the websites that are the first 10. And I think that's really funny is a lot of people you go.
Other things they boot make money. And I've even seen recently, and things are always changing on it. Like Google, don't quote me on this, but they do hundreds and hundreds of algorithms a year, almost one a day. So there's a couple major ones they'll release every year or every few years, like a mobile algorithm. Penguin was a big one back then, and just different ones that, um, will change the whole setup. And I've even seen on my specific feed where the sponsored or where it says ad has actually been removed. And you can tell that they're still ads because there's a little bit of a gap between the organic and the ads. So almost just seems like at times things are always changing. So you need to always be relevant and understanding how um, digital marketing operates.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny because I always like to think of, and maybe it doesn't put every marketer in a good light of marketing as kind of manipulation, but it it to an extent kind of is. But I think it's more kind of related to psychology of like if you can trick someone into watching an ad, which I is somewhat manipulation. You you can kind of, especially if it's something that they would want, then they're likely to buy it. And I think that that trick is something that's kind of difficult to do. Especially, I love that with content creation because I think to an extent when content creation is so unique and creative and fun, um, it kind of when it's that kind of eye grabbing thing, it kind of does trick the brain into thinking like, "Oh, this is just, like, something fun and exciting and new, and I'm gonna, consume this, and then I might actually purchase it because I just enjoyed this content." And I love that idea of, you know, it's trickery in a little bit of a way, but it's also, I don't know, it's enjoyable, like, people are gonna spend money anyway, so it's kind of just choosing the right space at the right time in the right way.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times, like we have clients that are, like we get a home remodeler that we do Google local service ads, and we see calls come in, and this person's like, "Hey, I got a little project for you," and then he explains like he needs to gut his whole house and add a deck and add an addition. So it's not a very small project, and all he did was click the very first thing on Google and they popped up and now they have opportunity to get a proposal out to them, go through their process, ideally continue their follow-ups and things like that to close jobs and get big projects versus, there's more than likely a lot of larger companies, and we're in Columbus, Ohio, that are doing bigger jobs than them. And that person could more than likely go with any of those companies, but they called the very first thing on Google, which was and that's how leads come in.
Yeah, of course. And I think a lot of people will do that. It's similar to the idea that people will see something on social media and believe it is if they see the first thing that comes up on Google. I think people really like the ease of information. Um and I think that, Google ranking is something that goes into that is that, the average consumer doesn't want to do a heavy amount of research in order to, consider purchasing a service or a good. And I think that being at the top is something that's super beneficial for you for those people specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course you want a good service on top of that, so that you maintain these clients. But I think like that's a huge thing in just bringing them in is being able to just be in the front of people's faces.
Correct.
Okay, well, it's game time. I'm gonna ask you some silly, absurd questions, and you give me the best answer that you got.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, first question, my favorite question of all. How many eggs do you think that you consume in a waking day?
In a working day,
In a waking day.
in a waking day,
Your 12 hours, maybe long.
how many eggs? I mean, I eggs are various. I'll either eat an egg sandwich or I could get some scrambled eggs. But I mean, I probably say in a
You can make them
week,
anyway. You just have to consume.
how many could I consume in a day? Oh,
Yes.
mm,
Anyway, they can be any style. They just have to be consumed.
depends. I'd probably see what we're doing, but I could probably maybe a carton or two. I'd probably eat 12 or 24 eggs.
For carton too. Okay, that's pretty fair. We have a slew of answers for this one. I don't know why I like this question so much, but I think it's so silly. I've gotten 8 dozen. I've gotten 50. Uh, I think 8 is insane, and I don't think that they'd be alive after
I
the
don't think
dozen.
I don't think I'd want to eat 50. It doesn't sound very solid.
And I don't think anyone wants to eat 50 eggs. It's that 50 and beyond, I think is not that I don't think it's possible. I think that you'd maybe die or go into cardiac arrest and
Believe
then
it.
maybe die. Something, but yeah, I think that's kind of a realistic answer. I think around 20 to 30 is more realistic than 50 to 80. Those are um you know, interesting people. I don't know if I trust them.
See,
Okay.
crazy people out there.
Yeah, no, I will at some point my vision is to create a compilation of the egg answers.
Mhm.
and basically put the people on blast that have given me absurd egg answers. You know, they chose to say this information on the podcast, so that's on them. I can make compilation videos as much as I want. Okay, let me ask something a little more marketing, but a little more fun. Okay, for outreach
Mhm.
purposes, this is difficult for some people to answer because they want specifics. I'm talking about in general, across the board. What do you think is better, LinkedIn outreach or email?
I probably say LinkedIn.
Okay, why?
We currently do LinkedIn automations. We've also tried email targeted automations. Again, I think a true mix of both would be beneficial. And sometimes you'll do a LinkedIn outreach and then you'll schedule a call with people, but then you take it over to email. But initially, for the first experience, LinkedIn, I think people can get a better vision of who you are in your profile. They can see your face. Sometimes email, you have a logo or no picture of that person, as well as it feels more, depends if you're automating and not authentic or you're just blasting out to people, but it feels a little bit more personalized.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that there's like a barrier within LinkedIn of like people assume you're spam, or if you're contacting them, they assume that you want something from them, which is kind of, what LinkedIn is really kind of for, a little bit. But I definitely think that email is you can be anyone. LinkedIn, at least there's evidence that you're a person, and hopefully if you're reaching out to people, there's evidence that you're a person. You have a profile that's public, and you have things that you've done and they know about them. And I think that's really important for people to get an idea of who you are. I definitely agree with that. I think email is more of a, you know, it's more of the unknown. You don't really get a feel of who someone is unless they're really eccentric in their email with their language. I have had those, and those people are great. Uh, I'm sure that a lot of people don't like eccentric emailers, but I love them. And I think those people are great, and you definitely can tell their personality through their email, but not everyone, and I would say probably not most, are good at showing their personality through emails because emailing kind of sucks a little. Well, this is all the time we have today. We're a little over time, but that means it was fun. But thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I think we learned a lot. I think the audience learned a lot, and I learned a lot. And that's why I like doing this podcast. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
And everyone watching or listening at home, please don't forget to like and subscribe to watch more videos like this and be able to learn just like I do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.